For so many years, I was the one holding everyone else's babies, helping raise my siblings and watching my sisters start their own families. I always trusted God's timing, but I'll admit there were moments I wondered if this chapter would ever come for me. Then everything changed. On December 30th, 2025, our lives were transformed forever when we welcomed our sweet son, Archie Gerald Wissmann, into the world. We took some time, just Stephen, Archie, and me, to settle into our new rhythm here in Nebraska before sharing the news. We wanted to soak in every second of this wonder in private, but now I'm ready to take you inside these first few weeks of motherhood. From the emotional night Archie was born to why we chose his special family name and how life in our new fixer, Upper Home, has become a dream come true. Over the next 70 minutes, I'm sharing the full, beautiful story of the miracle I waited a lifetime for. I'm Jana, and I'm so happy to finally say, I'm a mom. You know, for the longest time, I think most people only saw me as the oldest daughter. The one who was always there to help, to babysit, and to put everyone else first. I was the 12th sibling to marry, even though I was the second born. I heard all the theories and the questions, but in my heart, I was just waiting on God's best. Standing here now, holding Archie, I can finally say that reality is starting to set in. It's a dream come true, but it's also so much more than I imagined. Becoming a mom at 36 has given me a perspective I don't think I would have had in my early 20s. I've seen my sisters go through this so many times, but feeling those first tiny kicks myself, that was a wonder all its own. I'm so grateful I didn't settle because God brought me to Stephen, and together we've started a life that is so peaceful and so us. I want to tell every girl who is still waiting, don't give up on your dreams. Sometimes the most beautiful chapters are the ones that take a little longer to write. Many of you know that Stephen and I actually knew each other for a long time before we started dating. Our families have been friends for years, but the timing just wasn't right back then. When we reconnected, it wasn't a big, flashy production. It was a quiet, steady realization that we were meant to be together. Our wedding in August 2024 was truly the happiest day of my life. It felt like a celebration not just of our love, but of God's perfect timing. Having all my siblings there, even the ones who had moved far away, meant the world to me. Stephen is such a man of character. He's patient, kind, and he loves me for exactly who I am. He didn't see the Jana from TV. He saw the woman who loved gardening and fixing up old houses. That foundation of friendship made the transition into marriage so smooth, and it prepared our hearts for the greatest gift we would receive just a year later. Moving away from the Arkansas compound was a big change, but it was also so exciting. I spent my whole life in Town, and while I love my family, there was something so freeing about starting a new life with Stephen in Nebraska. We found this beautiful ranch-style house in Lincoln that needed quite a bit of work. A real 275 Zalazin fixer-upper. I think I've always had a rebel heart when it comes to design. I love getting my hands dirty and turning something old into something new. For the first few months, we were surrounded by paint swatches and power tools. It was during this time that I realized I wasn't just building a house, I was building my own home for the very first time. Having my own space, away from the constant noise of the big house, allowed Stephen and me to truly bond as a couple. We were creating our own rhythm, making our own traditions, and preparing a nest for a family we hoped would grow soon. I'll never forget the morning I found out I was pregnant. We had been settled in Nebraska for a little while, and life was feeling so wonderful. I had been feeling a bit more tired than usual, but I just chalked it up to the house renovations. When I saw that positive test, I just sat there on the floor and cried happy tears. I waited for Stephen to come home so I could tell him in person. I set out a little pair of baby shoes I had tucked away, and when he saw them, the look on his face was priceless. We just held each other for a long time, thanking God for this miracle. After years of helping my sisters through their pregnancies, it was finally my turn. We decided right then to keep the news to ourselves for a little while, just to savor the secret and the joy between the two of us before the world found out. Oh, the summer of 2025 was a whirlwind of activity. There I was, dealing with morning sickness while trying to pick out flooring for the kitchen and paint for the nursery. Stephen was such a hero during those months. He took on so much of the heavy lifting so I could rest when I needed to. It was a summer of growth in every sense of the word. While the house was transforming room by room, my body was transforming too. I loved spending time in our new garden, watching things bloom while knowing that a new life was blooming inside of me. There were challenges, of course. Pregnancy at 35 and 36 comes with its own set of doctor appointments and extra care, but I felt so much peace. We were in our own little world in Lincoln, away from the cameras and the public eye, just focusing on our health, our home, and the precious soul we were waiting to meet. There is something so profound about the first time you feel your baby move. After years of watching my sisters' bellies grow and feeling their little ones kick from the outside, experiencing it myself was a wonder I can hardly describe. It happened late one evening while I was finally sitting down to rest in our new living room. It started as a tiny flutter, and then, there it was, a distinct little tap. I called Stephen over immediately, and we just sat in silence for the longest time, waiting for him to do it again. Those kicks became my favorite part of the day. It was like Archie was already communicating with us, letting us know he was strong and ready to meet the world. During the second trimester, I felt this incredible burst of energy. I was finally past the morning sickness, and I spent my days sewing curtains for the nursery and organizing all the tiny clothes my sisters had sent from Arkansas. Every movement reminded me that God's timing isn't just about the years we wait, but about the life that forms in the quiet moments. Designing the nursery was such a therapeutic process for me. In the big house, everything was shared and communal, so having the freedom to create a specific space for my own son was a joy I didn't take for granted. I wanted Archie's room to feel calm and timeless, just like our new life in Nebraska. We went with soft earth tones, muted greens and warm woods, to match the ranch-style feel of our home. Stephen built a beautiful bookshelf, and I spent hours picking out classic stories that I can't wait to read to him. We kept a lot of the original charm of the house, but added modern touches that made it feel cozy. I remember standing in the doorway when it was finally finished, the sun streaming through the windows, and just praying over that room. I prayed that it would be a place of peace, and that our son would always feel the love that went into every nail and every coat of paint. When we finally shared the news with my family back in Arkansas, the reaction was just overwhelming. I think everyone had been rooting for me for so long that my pregnancy felt like a win for the whole family. My mother was so emotional. She knows better than anyone how much I've poured into other people's children, and she was so happy to see me have this for myself. My sister started a group chat immediately, flooding me with advice, must-have baby item lists, and so much love. Jessa, Jill, and Jinger were constantly checking in, asking how I was feeling and sharing their own birth stories. Even though I was miles away in Lincoln, I felt their presence every day. They even sent a huge welcome to motherhood, care package filled with all my favorite snacks and things for the baby. It was a beautiful reminder that even when you move away and start your own life, the bonds of family stay just as strong. Archie decided to make his grand entrance right as the year was winding down. On the evening of December 29th, I knew things were starting to happen. Stephen was so calm and steady, just as he always is, making sure everything was ready for the hospital. It was a long night filled with so much anticipation and prayer. Then, at 9:16 p.m. on December 30, 2025, our world changed forever. The moment they placed him in my arms, all the years of waiting, all the questions, and all the long days just faded away. He was so perfect, 10 pounds and 4 ounces of pure miracle. I looked at Stephen and saw the tears in his eyes, and I knew we had finally stepped into the role we were always meant for. Archie didn't just join our family, he completed it. That hospital room in Lincoln felt like the most sacred place on earth that night. So, one of the sweetest surprises about Archie's birth was the date itself. He ended up sharing a birthday with his uncles, Jedediah and Jeremiah. Having twins in the family is already so special, but having my first son born on their birthday felt like a little wink from heaven. Jed and Jer were among the first to call and congratulate us, joking that Archie was the best birthday present they ever got. It's such a fun connection that he'll have with them for the rest of his life. My family is so big that birthdays are constantly overlapping, but this one felt intentional. It's a day of double celebration now. As Archie grows, I can't wait to tell him the story of how he chose a day that was already so full of joy for the Duggar family and made it even more unforgettable. Naming our son was something Stephen and I put a lot of prayerful thought into. We wanted a name that felt strong and classic, but also one that carried a piece of our family history. We decided on Archie Gerald Wissmann. The name Archie just felt right from the moment we said it out loud. It has a friendly yet sturdy feel to it. But the middle name, Gerald, is where the deep heritage lies. It is Stephen's middle name, and it also honors his late great-grandfather, Gerald Hager. In our family, names have always been a way to bridge the past with the future. Every time I look at Archie, I see the legacy of the men who came before him, men of faith, hard work, and integrity. We hope that Archie carries his name with pride and that he grows up to reflect the godly character of his father and his grandfathers. The first 24 hours after Archie was born are a bit of a blur, but they are etched in my heart forever. I remember the way the moonlight hit the hospital room and the quiet hum of the monitors, but all I could really see was him. I didn't want to sleep. I just wanted to stare at his tiny fingers and watch the way he breathed. There is a specific kind of wonder that comes with your first child. I've held so many babies in my life, but this was different. This was the soul God had entrusted specifically to Stephen and me. I felt this overwhelming sense of protective love that I had never experienced before. I remember Stephen bringing me a glass of water and us just looking at each other, both of us in total awe that we were finally parents. In those first few hours, the rest of the world just ceased to exist. It was just the three of us, beginning our life together in the most beautiful way possible. A lot of people asked why we waited until January 23rd to announce Archie's birth. Since he was born on December 30th, the truth is we just wanted to settle into our new rhythm in private. For so much of my life, every milestone was shared with the public almost instantly. For this, my first journey into motherhood, I wanted to protect that initial bond. Those 3 weeks of silence were some of the most peaceful weeks of my life. We didn't have to worry about headlines or comments. We could just focus on learning how to be a family. We spent our time nesting in our Nebraska home, figuring out Archie's sleep schedule, and just enjoying the quiet. It allowed me to recover physically and emotionally without any outside pressure. When we finally did share the news, It was because we felt ready, not because we had to. Taking that time was the best gift we could have given ourselves and our son. Seeing Stephen become a father has been one of the most beautiful parts of this entire experience. I always knew he would be wonderful, but seeing him hold Archie for the first time changed the way I look at him. He is so gentle and patient, even in the middle of the night when we're both exhausted. He's already so hands-on, changing diapers, rocking Archie to sleep, and singing quietly to him. He has this way of calming Archie down that is just magic. Stephen has always been my rock, but now he's Archie's rock too. Watching them together in our home in Lincoln makes me realize how blessed I truly am. He takes his role as a provider and a protector so seriously, but it's his tenderness that moves me the most. I know that Archie is going to grow up with the best possible example of what a godly man looks like. When we finally decided to share the first photos of Archie on January 23rd, we wanted them to reflect the peace we've found here in Nebraska. We chose images that were natural and warm, just a mom and dad in their home with their new baby. I wore a simple sweater, and we just let the joy of the moment speak for itself. The response was so beautiful. Within minutes, our phones were blowing up with messages of love from around the world. It was so sweet to see the welcome to the world. Archie, posts from my siblings and the Wissmann family. Sharing those photos felt like we were finally letting everyone into our little miracle. We were so touched by the thousands of people who had been praying for us and waiting for this news. It made the announcement feel like a big, warm hug from everyone who has followed my story over the years. One of the funniest things to see after we posted those first photos was the lookalike debate that started online. Everyone has an opinion! Some people are convinced he has the Duggar eyes and that signature smile I see in so many of my brothers, especially Jed and Jer since they share a birthday. But then others look at his features and see a mini Stephen. I see a little bit of both. There are moments, especially when he's sleeping, where I see the Wissmann side. That calm, steady look that Stephen has. But then he'll make a little expression that reminds me so much of my dad or my brothers. My sisters and I have been sending photos back and forth, comparing Archie to his cousins. Some say he looks like Jess's boys, and others see a resemblance to Jill's children. It's such a fun part of being in a big family, seeing how these traits carry on through the generations. To us, it doesn't really matter who he looks like. He is uniquely Archie, and he is perfect just the way he is. I often think about how different my experience of motherhood is compared to what it might have been if I had stayed in Arkansas. Being in Nebraska, in our own home, has allowed me to find my own voice as a mom. I don't feel the pressure of the big house cameras or the constant hustle and bustle of 20 people in one room. Here in Lincoln, life is quieter. I can focus entirely on Archie and Stephen without any outside noise. I've loved finding my own rhythm, deciding how we want to spend our mornings, what our evening routine looks like, and how we want to raise our son. Don't get me wrong, I miss my family dearly, but there is something so healthy about having this space to breathe. I've realized that you don't have to follow every single tradition to honor your heritage. Motherhood in Nebraska feels like a fresh start, a beautiful blend of the values I was raised with and the independence I've found with Stephen. The outpouring of love from my siblings and our close friends has been so heartwarming. Jessa was one of the first to reach out, telling me that being a mom is the hardest but best job I'll ever have. Jinger sent a beautiful message from California, reminding me to soak in every moment because they grow up so fast. We even heard from the Bates family. They've been such close friends of ours for so long, and seeing their excitement for Archie meant a lot. It's a small world in our community, and everyone has been so supportive of my long wait for this chapter. My sisters-in-law have been sending tips on the best baby gear and which swaddles worked for their little ones. It truly feels like I have this huge cheering section behind me. Even though I'm the oldest girl, I'm the newest mom, and I'm so grateful for their humility and wisdom as they guide me through these first few weeks. If I could say one thing to the women out there who are still waiting for their dream come true, it would be this: don't let anyone else's timeline define your worth. I spent years being the single sister while everyone around me was getting married and having babies. There were days when it was hard, but I chose to trust that God had a specific plan for me. If I had married 10 years ago, I wouldn't have Stephen and I wouldn't have Archie. The wait wasn't lost time. It was time God used to prepare my heart. Whether you are waiting for a husband, a child, or a new beginning, hold on to hope. Your story isn't over just because it hasn't happened yet. My miracle came at 36, and it is more beautiful than I ever could have imagined when I was 20. God is faithful, and His timing really is perfect, even when it feels like it's taking a long road to get there. So here we are, and then there were 3, our little family of 3 in our fixer, upper home in Nebraska. As I look toward the future, my hopes for Archie are that he grows up knowing how much he was wanted and how much he is loved. I want our home to be a place of laughter, where he feels safe to be whoever God created him to be. Stephen and I are so excited to continue fixing up this house and making more memories. Maybe one day there will be more little ones running down these hallways, but for now we are just soaking in every second with our Archie. I'm so thankful to all of you for following my journey, for your prayers, and for your kind words. It's been a long journey from the big house to this quiet life in Lincoln, but I wouldn't change a single step of it. My heart is full, my arms are full, and for the first time in my life, I feel like I am exactly where I am supposed to be. Thank you for being a part of our story,